Just a quick video here, test of this giant double fall base. Outer walls are not done, just a ring for possible explosion damage. This stuff's not done yet, but poles and little filler pieces to make this appear as a valid route. Same up at the top here, got a little bit of terrain smoothing going on. Fall for each one is 45 blocks. 4 wide shelf. You can see the walls are not done except on the side. Another 45 fall. The whole center area here is sod. Cops are very likely to survive, so if you lose them down here, this way they won't do any damage. I don't have any of the stuff done behind them yet, but these are all going to be sort of quick escape routes. Plate up and down like that will let you through, but not a zombie. They will attack them. They're aware that this top plate especially is an obstacle, and they will attack it, but it'll give you a way to break line of sight for cops or whatever, run down, come out another one. In the center, just a pretty simple 7x7, gives you 5 on for the poles. Given how big this is down here, I'd probably actually make this at least one bigger, 9x9, maybe 11x11, with a tower all the way to the top with drawbridges, some way to get across. Just a quick temporary setup for testing. I got turrets and spotlights. Each side's on a manual switch right now. Just got a crappy little temporary basement down here with a generator and switches for each pole so that the cables line up nice and straight. Well, I like it. Only way up there is this sort of crappy, obnoxious ladder. All the shotguns, despite having reset since I started the game again, are pointed straight down. Spotlight is not quite straight down, but pretty close. And there you go. Most tier 1 stuff dies up there. Dogs, zombie bow, stuff like that. In theory, the tougher stuff will either be stunned or crippled down here. Of course, cops can't die in a fall, so they're the wild card. And a zombie landing on a zombie body can take reduced or even no fall damage at all, so you may see some tier 1s. For example, over the course of a horde night, get enough bodies on the first shelf that they're surviving, then they come down here and die, and get enough bodies down here. Eventually, especially at high game stages where the horde night is 900 zombies before the last wave, and the last wave is 600 more. That's going to add up. But has not been tested through a blood moon yet. The first level up there was, but haven't done much down here. I have seen a wandering horde fail to spawn while I was down here, and I'm not quite sure why. We should be in range. Yeah, see, right here. Could not find a valid position. So, even though this is not over 96 blocks from the surface, the fact that there's such a large horizontal distance means the total distance is outside that 96, and I think if I'm up against a wall, yeah, so if I'm up against a wall, it's fine. You can see that just spawned a whole bunch of feral stuff. Arlene, Mo, skateboarder, nothing particularly interesting. I bet all of it's gonna die on its way over the first ledge, assuming it even paths over here. I have no idea where they even went. Ah, there they are. Looks like might path across this corner. Might just walk around. There's one thing about this method for getting zombies over the edge is I'm pretty sure the overarching detection routines, like for screamers and stuff, still see this as a large area that they cannot path through, so I think most of the daytime wandering hordes would be like this, where the route that they're given by the system actually takes them away from the opening, and you just get an occasional zombie falling off the edge because they see it as a route that's valid. Like if I come over here and get some of their attention, they will happily follow you right off this edge. Like I said, I think the routines for wandering hordes that look for a valid path to schedule them will not path them across this opening. And as you can see, all these were all tier 1, and they all just die immediately from this first fall. I did have a dog horde earlier that was actually pretty funny because one of them cleared this shelf entirely. I don't know what convinced him to run off the top, but he made it all the way to the bottom, which did not end well for Mr. Doggy. But what I'm more interested about is going to be our stronger stuff like these guys. They'll definitely survive the first fall. He's not even phased. Even down here, I mean, that's 245 falls and it barely even slowed him down, and you do see that sometimes. You can see they both just aimed down, and it looks like we're still bugged. Even across up. Oh no, see, there he goes. And they both did, so it took them a little while. Okay, good. We've been having some issues where zombies falling further than between 21 and 30 blocks. Seems like all the distance detection stuff loses them. Motion sensors, turrets, nothing sees them. They just don't react to them at all. I've found that them going across a chunk boundary seems to fix that, and this might have just confirmed that. I designed this with that in mind so that from any of the cardinal directions, it's far enough that there are 2 chunk boundaries that they're going to pass through on their way. So there should be no way for them to get to the bottom without having reset whatever that awareness is that we're having problems with. So let's just go right for 2 of these guys. Yeah, come on. There you go. You know, these guys, this kind of fall is not really even going to phase them. Okay, now he's stunned for whatever reason. It is certainly taking these guys a long time to react. Okay, now he's up. Of course, I've got God mode on for the purposes of testing this, but so what exactly made them start working with that other one? Oh, it's just a matter of time. So interesting. They're very slow, but they do eventually turn on. I'm not sure 2 of them will even be enough to take him down. Nope, he's gonna pop. Of course, just throw my machete on the ground. None of these are particularly convenient to use at the moment since it's just a test base. So with a little help that they would be able to do it, but of course, I mean, for real, at high game stages, you know, 3,000-4,000 or whatever, where the cops are constant, you definitely want more turrets than this, probably at least 4 aside. Maybe possibly not even centered like this, but up here was another thought I had, you know, 6 up so that they're not hit by explosion damage. And then you could run over here, hide behind the wall, cop will follow you up to here, turrets will take them on, that kind of thing. So it's interesting. It does seem like they work, but there is definitely some sort of detection delay specific to the fall. It's like if I summon one down here, you can see they immediately trigger an attack. If I summon one up here, come on, guy. There you go. And I do have them aimed straight down, so their visibility is pretty short. But he's definitely within it right now and not triggering them. So there's some sort of a delay. But that's better than we were having, because it seemed like before there was just no response, but it's quite possible it was always just a delay. It's just when you have a horde worth of zombies trapped in a box like this and your turrets are doing nothing, they don't tend to just stand there and wait for that delay. The zombies tend to break out, and then, you know, tons of fun. Anyway, there you go, quick test. Looks like this should be a totally viable setup for a fairly low maintenance base. You know, your day hordes, except for military and stuff, will all kill themselves in the first fall. And the Blood Moon Horde stuff will be able to sense from there because it's less than 96, so pretty much just stand around down here in the middle and they will all waterfall right off the top, get the next shelf and continue on, and you know, 80 or 85% of them probably die in that process, so you're only left with the fun stuff like the cops and military and bikers and such to deal with. It is, however, a tremendous amount of work. That first fall up there, it's 51 for the outside edges, you know, for the frame, so 51 by 51, it's 45 deep. It's like 108,000 blocks just in that first part that has to be collapsed. And then you have the second one down here, and then the frames for that outside, I did the math, and it's like 9,000 and something rebar frames, again, just for those walls. And then you would have to do these as well, so not build for people looking for something quick to do, that's for certain.